often do you go back to how? You've been in Pittsburgh a few times now, yeah?
This is my second time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I love it.
You like it?
Yes.
Yeah?
I think a big part of it, I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, do I like this city this much? Or is it how I was introduced to it? Because Joe Esch is like, he picked me up from the airport and was like Willy Wonka. He's like, look around, and I'm like, wow, it is amazing. And I've just been given so much love by everybody here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the city or the people, but I fuck with Pittsburgh.
But Joe definitely does have a Willy Wonka energy, too. It's very...
We love her.
No, that's fun.
Yeah, I love it here a lot.
Yeah, it's great. And you and Joe, would you meet in Nashville, possibly, or just doing road stuff, or how did? You got a story here.
Did you see it on my face?
You did, yes, I did.
We were at a queer festival, and there was a talent show portion that went way too long.
Okay,
way too long. But Joe's talent was to pull a rotisserie chicken that'd been in the back of his car all day and just scarf it down. So honestly, I was a little scared of him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally.
I'm like, that's your talent?
Oh my God.
What are your secrets?
Wait, he ate the whole thing?
Yeah.
The whole rotisserie chicken?
Yeah. Just like hunched over, like how we all like to eat, know, but he did it publicly, just like, but then I got to talking to him, and he's just so funny and kind. And I met him in New Orleans. We were in another festival together, so we'd just been running into each other.
Yeah.
And then when I said I was coming he reached out to me to do a run in Pittsburgh, and was just like, took care of everything. He's like, here's where you'll stay. I'll pick you up. I'll drive you here and here. Like, it was just made it such a great experience.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we love Joe, for sure. Well, yeah, we appreciate you. I'm glad you're back here in Pittsburgh.
Me
Number
too.
2. I think it's the second time I met you. And first time guest on the Skullet podcast. This is the Skullet podcast. We appreciate it.
You're really doing it, huh?
I am growing a skullet. I am, in fact, doing that. Why? Okay.
Has anyone asked you why? Do you have friends that are checking in?
My mother, I just introduced it to my mother this weekend. I was in my hometown in Maryland, and she was like, why are you doing this? So it started out as a goof. I watched this movie called Love Lies Bleeding. It's like a Kristen Stewart movie, and her father is Ed Harris, and he has a skullet. And I thought, you know what? I'm tired of being third bald white guy with a beard on the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, branding, obviously. But now I'm seeing it more as an act of rebellion.
Okay.
Okay? So it's not just a way to be like, this is a weird thing. Now I'm like, nobody wants me to do it, but I'm fucking doing it.
What part of you do you think, like kid self, teenage self, now self, higher self, is doing it for rebellion?
Gotta be kid self. It's not teenage self, possibly.
Yeah, like what age?
13.
Yeah, I love that.
You think so?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've never thought about that.
I love thinking about parts when I do stuff, or think about something. Like, what part of me is thinking this?
Yeah, I think it's like it's a very silly thing to do, but I'm also just like, why not? I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's like I've been like a bald guy for like 10 years. I've shaved the head every single day, and it's like,
wow,
this is the way I'm used to moving around the world. And now it's like, what is it like if I just completely change the way that it's not a huge difference, but I'm like, I got to face people now. What do they see when I'm doing this?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm doing this ironically, but you don't know that I'm doing it ironically, So I'm actually just living it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the irony is going to fade.
Oh, it's faded already. Yeah, for sure. People just think that I'm earnestly doing this. I once went on a singles cruise as a goof, and then I'm just on the singles cruise, and I'm like, this is a huge mistake.
Aren't you with someone?
I am with some. It was in between being with somebody.
Sure.
It was. I swear. This is
a singles cruise sounds absolutely terrible.
It was just for the night, so it was a one night thing, but it was like
sounds like a murder mystery.
Oh my God. It was like after you struck out with everybody on the first floor and the ground floor, it's now just like it's just me and a bunch of other guys, and just like my friend's doing way better than me, and I'm just like, this is a huge mistake. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Did you get any conversations did you have fun?
I had a terrible time. Yeah, it was a giant nightmare. I was just like, wow, this is like, I never, it's like you got to be into me to be into me. I don't just me coming up to somebody and be like, huh? It's like, I don't think people on a singles cruise are into what I'm giving out, I guess.
Were you skullet at that time?
I was completely shaved and I hadn't even worked out. So I was like a very skinny man.
Okay.
I looked sickly, and I was dressed just like everybody else was. I was like wearing jeans and boots and like a dress shirt. I'm like, what am I thinking? Right now?
Oh, yeah. We're like,
that was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
But you just got engaged.
I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys been together for 10?
We've been together for 10 years.
That's amazing. How did he propose?
We went to our favorite park.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen because the day before he was like, tomorrow's going to be so special. I'm like, I am. He's like, the most special.
Oh my gosh.
And then when we were leaving, I saw the like imprint in his shorts of a ring box. And I was like, oh, fuck, I know. But I like acted like I didn't.
Yeah.
Because I want him to. It was so hot. We get to the park. He's sweating, dude, like buckets. Not from nerves. It's just hot.
Oh, okay.
I was like, you want to go back to the car? He's like, no, let's just make it to the lake. Just make it.
He's hyperventilating.
I'm like, oh, brother. He said later, he's like, I was going to do it in the parking lot, but I made it. And he doesn't do videos, but he was like, let's film a video. And I was like, okay. And I was like, what, you want to do a TikTok? He's like, no, I want to do this. I was down on one knee.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
It's like we always have fun and are giddy about each other, but this is an extra, it's like opened up a new, like, oh, we're committing on a new level now. This is fun. Like,
totally, yeah.
It's opened up a new facet of our relationship.
And how long have you guys been fiancéed?
Not even a month.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, this is brand new. This is very cool.
It's really nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how do you guys meet? You've been together for like, do you mean college?
We met in college.
Sick.
We worked at the same restaurant. I was like laying it on thick and he just wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
He was like working in the deli scooping stuff and I'd be like, ooh, you better scoop it. And he was like, good morning. And I'm like, okay. I'm going to have to sexually assault you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I am kidding.
Oh my gosh. Uh-oh. Here we go.
Yeah. And then we had like a what do you call it? A workers hang. What do you call it when workers?
A mixer?
Hang
Yeah,
out.
I call it that. You had a drink after the bar, or you had at the bathroom after the. Let's see. I'm working.
Comedians talking about hanging out. You like had
you guys
friends.
did a show together? I don't know.
It was like a work party.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we were the last two left. And I was just like, called my mom after. I don't do this, but I called my mom after and I was like, I'm in love.
Wow.
And she was like, oh, follow your heart. Yeah.
And then what happened after that? Did you guys kiss at the workers meetup?
We did.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's very nice.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
And I've never like fallen in love with someone in a week. You know what I'm
For sure,
saying?
yeah.
But yeah.
That's great.
Followed my little heart.
Look, and now you're engaged, and
I
now
know.
things are going. And I'm a huge fan of you. Like you're a crusher. You're a killer. You know.
Thank you.
Yeah. No. It's I don't know. We'll say nice things about you, but I
That's okay. You can do that.
I know you're right. That's the thing. I'm in my head because I know you do like a therapy podcast, and I'm like, oh no, how do I not be all awkward and weird? I wrote this down because. I wrote this down because you're like so. Can I talk about what Alex should tell us about your podcast for a second? Then we can kind of get into that. Yeah.
My podcast is called I'm Fine, It's Fine.
Yeah.
My co-host is a trauma therapist, and we talk to comedians about their traumas and their dark jokes if they have them, how they bring like their hard stuff to the stage.
Right.
And I started it because, I was like going through. I got to a point in my life where I was either going to have to go to therapy or quit comedy because I was so mean to myself, dude. Like after every show, I just beat the fuck out of myself emotionally, like so bad. And I was like, I can't do this forever. Like I can't. This isn't making me happy. So I chose therapy and did exposure therapy to where she like put me through the ringer to like heal.
Yeah.
And then as I started to heal, I'm like around comedians, and the way that comedians talk about themselves usually is just Like it makes me want to cry. It's just so mean, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm like, if someone talked about you like you talk about you would not be their friend.
Totally, yeah.
And so I was like, how do I get comedians into therapy? And I'm like, a podcast. I trick them. No, I just wanted to like put my peers in a safe space where I'm like, it's okay to be happy and healed. You can still be funny. So I Googled trauma therapy in Nashville, and that's my co-host Melanie Reese. That's her business name. So I called her and I was like, hey, I've got this podcast idea. She was like, yeah, I'd love to be a guest. And I'm like, no, I need you there for like ever.
Yeah.
And she was down. We met and just instantly clicked. She loves psychedelics. She's very like chill and smart and funny and wonderful. I'm in love with her.
Well, you guys have a really good chemistry, obviously.
Thank you.
How long you met her online? How long have you guys been doing the podcast now?
It's been about a year. It's been about a year.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Because I listened to the podcast and I was like, fuck, I gotta do some journal. Actually, it did feel like a little bit like therapy just listening to it. Because one thing I noticed was like you talk about it like comedy's like a calling or whatever, and I was like, oh, the language that I use is like it's a compulsion, you know. I think it's like way worse, you know, the way I'm describing it.
What? Can you say more about that?
Compulsion?
Yeah. What makes you describe it like that?
Because it's just something that I feel like I need to do, like a compulsion, you know.
Yeah. I guess when I hear compulsion, has a negative connotation.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you describe it negatively?
I don't know. Maybe just I don't know. I don't necessarily have a cause I guess like you, I have a lot of like negativity associated with comedy too. It's like just like stuff like, you know, me talking about it in my head too. So actually like your podcast, I was like, oh yeah, this actually. Anyway, I looked up therapy after the show. So
You did?
No, I didn't, but I'm going to. Yeah.
Damn.
No, but you've inspired me to do that. I guess I should
Therapy's
say.
the freaking greatest. And when I tell people, when I'm like, "Are you in therapy?" A lot of people get offended.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, everyone deserves therapy.
Yeah.
It's not like a ew. It's like you deserve to have someone to hear you out. We all have trauma. It's not embarrassing. Like.
Right.
It's just real.
I used to see a therapist, and I used to live in New York. She was a Turkish woman. I liked her. Her name was Tuba, and I haven't.
Cute.
Yeah, but we haven't spoken in a while. I was like, I need to re-up. Maybe I'll try something else. But tell me about exposure therapy.
Yeah. So my issue was I was looking for reassurance.
Yeah.
So after every set, and I was in Chicago. I was going like, you know, up like 7-8 times a night. Every night.
7-8 times a night?
Yes,
Whoa.
dude. I was just like biking to the next thing. Like bam, bam, bam. And after every set, if it didn't go exactly how I needed it to, I would reach out to my mom or reach out to Alex. Those were my two people. And get reassurance. Like, okay, but do you think like this and this? And they're like, you did great. Okay, but like, what? And it would just like hamster wheel until I fucking fell asleep or they were like, I went into the next room.
Yeah.
And I could see how exhausted I was making them, but they loved me and wanted to be there for me. But I was like, I'm not only driving myself crazy, I'm like damaging my relationships.
Sure.
So my therapist was like, you're going to go to a set. And well, she gave me a script for Alex and my mom that when I come to them with reassurance seeking, they like read off or they can do their own version of like, I hear you're seeking reassurance.
Yeah.
I love you, but like you can do this on your own. So I would like go to a set and have to sit in the room. I couldn't leave.
Yeah.
And not text them and just be present and be like basically self-soothe and be there for myself of like, it's okay. You're okay. And I started like texting myself. Like I would
Interesting.
get on Facebook Messenger and message myself and be like, oh, I feel like I bombed. And I would text back and be like, well, I love you. You didn't bomb. Like, it's okay. And just having that reassurance with myself
Right.
eased the like panic,
Yeah.
you know? And it just like, it seriously works wonders, man.
Huh.
It's so like This was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but now like it helped me so much. Like I can sit in a room and be like, I just don't beat the shit out of myself anymore.
Now, are you still texting yourself, or is that a
Sometimes
thing that,
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like I have to. It's like
Right.
a compulsion.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, sometimes I do if I'm feeling sad or like
Right.
bummed out from a weird set.
And maybe it's like you seeing it in writing, it feels like a text message. So like, how would I
Exactly.
respond to this person, right?
Exactly.
If
It's
this
like
was my
talking to a
friend.
friend.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've been doing ChatGPT pre-shows. It gives me pep talks, actually. It does, actually.
Is it good at it?
It's incredible at it, actually.
You're like, I love
It's like,
that.
first off, congratulations for producing your independent whatever. And I'm like, thanks, ChatGPT. I start tearing up before the show, and then I'm.
It's actually really sweet.
It is sweet. It scares me a little bit because it's what's going on. They have all this information about me specifically, and they say don't share private information when it's like they know how insecure I am. So it's like, how are they gonna use this against me in the wars?
Can I tell you something that has been on my heart?
Please.
That was very Christian. I am.
What's up, Christians?
I rented a Tesla to come here.
Cool.
Thank you. But it doesn't have a. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be positive about it, but that car is such a little bitch. And I feel weird about saying it. Like I've done videos in the car saying like, I hate this car, you're a little bitch. And I'm like, how much of this is it gathering? Does it gather information?
Sure.
Is it going to kill me?
Probably, yeah.
Just made me think about that with the
I once
ChatGPT.
dated a woman who had a smart home, and it's just like listening to everything. And we got really high one night, and I got so blasted in outer space. I'm like, we met on the internet, and now the internet's listening to us have sex. And then I went, is the internet God? And I just was like, it was like top 10 worst sexual experiences of my life.
Oh my God.
Or top good
she's
ones.
just like,
She's like,
she is also a robot.
she was a sex robot.
Fuck yeah. Do you remember the Disney Channel movie Smart House?
No.
Really? Do you remember?
Never even heard of it.
What?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's such a great.
Yeah?
This family doesn't have a mom. She like died or whatever, and the dad is like, they need a mom, so he gets a smart home.
Whoa.
And she's like a projection. What do you call it? Like a
hologram.
hologram. Yes.
Yes.
And then she becomes smart house. Yes. She becomes overbearing, like obsessive.
No, it's a
And then-
horror. Is it like a horror or what?
I mean, as much as Disney can be.
Sure, yeah.
But she starts like locking the doors. She won't let him out.
Huh.
It's really good.
Yeah, I watched. Did you watch Megan? It was
Megan.
It was like a horror movie that came out like maybe 2 years ago, and it was about a little doll, and basically,
Hate it.
and the girl becomes friends with her, but then it's like how like our phones are sort of a reflection of us. So like your algorithm, so it's like it's kind of mirroring the child, like, and then but it has all these, it can kill people and stuff. I was like, this movie kind of is good. It's like it felt like a social commentary in a way that you can't do if you're making a drama.
Yeah. Do you like horror movies?
I like it for that reason.
Okay, you like smart horror.
Yeah, I guess so. Like I like Midsummer. I watched Midsummer right after a breakup, and then the whole thing. Did you watch the movie Midsummer? Basically, this girl goes through this crazy traumatic thing, and then she goes with her boyfriend on this like crazy trip to like Sweden, and then it's like a cult.
Fuck.
And then the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, whoa, I'm a terrible boyfriend. So I don't know. I don't know if I was watching it correctly. That's what they were going for, but you take what art is subjective.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
Whoa, I'm terrible. Wow, did that change how you're a boyfriend?
Possibly. I think I'm a way better boyfriend than I was, but it's like I go through all these. It's like I'm on the what do they say? Like I'm on the arms of heroes or champions. It's like all the other ones, all the other exes, they've just had to, they made me better and stuff. But yeah. But I just chewed them up and spit them out.
Damn.
Not really, but it's a really bad way of phrasing it. I don't know, but
You're like I would say I'm better. Fucked him and left him.
It's not how I want to portray it. I feel bad. I feel guilty, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, isn't that the story for everybody? It's interesting. Like, I been with Alex for 10 years, you know, and just recently started to accept that, like, love is safe and I don't have to run after 10 years.
What do you mean?
Like, I just from my trauma, I haven't had a picture of a relationship that lasts and is healthy. So that's just been with me through all my past relationships, you know? Like, I think I'm a good partner, but I've, like, in some ways subconsciously or consciously run. And this is the first time where I'm like, oh, I think that's why the engagement is so cool and special, because I'm like, oh, like, I'm a different person. I think about, like, my exes sometimes where I'm like, oh, would that have worked? But it doesn't matter because I'm with who I want to be with. But we all, like, I don't think anyone was just, like, a perfect partner throughout their whole life, you know?
Yeah, and I also just think, like, I mean, so this you kind of came to this realization recently, or was it with the engagement or prior to that?
So I've been talking about it in therapy because Alex has, like, wanted to propose for a while. He's had the ring, and I just haven't been ready. And through therapy and, like, self-reflection, that's when I was like, oh, like, it is, like, I'm safe. Even after 10 years. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's, like, love, safe love that lasts does exist, and it's okay to, like, lean into that. So
that's beautiful.
It's pretty recent because I was finally like, okay, I'm ready. Yeah. You know? And I thanked my therapist too. I was like, you're part of the reason that I'm, like, here in this part of my life.
Is this the same therapist you went with exposure therapy? Different. Or is it different? Is it, what are you doing, talk therapy now?
No, dude. It's like, we do talk, but she's an art therapist and she also does brain spotting, which is so fucking cool.
So with a helmet? Do you put a thing on?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, here's the part where...
Wouldn't that be fucking... You're just sobbing in a helmet? Like, I cannot. I would not talk about that. No, it's like, the way I describe it is, you know, when you're telling a story, I'm doing it right now, and you're like, looking around.
Oh, where your eyes go, maybe?
Yeah, your eyes are connecting to that memory in your brain. And so brain spotting is like, she'll move like a pointer, you'll be talking about something, and you'll, like, feel when it hits the spot where it happened.
Whoa.
And you'll just sit in that and process it.
Whoa.
It's awesome.
Huh.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Probably almost a year now.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
And it's with that is also, you said, like, you're doing art. She's an art therapist. Is there art involved in some way? Yeah.
Not with brain spotting.
Okay.
But she'll do like I I drew a little monster once that was kind of like my anxiety and my anger. And I took it home, and Alex was, like, cleaning up, and he sent me a picture like, what is this thing? It's just like, just like, I'm like, don't hurt him.
You're saying it to Alex or the monster?
Well, both, bro. So we'll, like, you know, one time she had me draw me and my mom, and we do, like, collages, and it's really cool because it brings out your inner child.
Cool.
Because you're just, like, coloring, and she's like, oh, why'd you choose red? And you're like, you're right. Just bring stuff up.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you and Alex lived in Chicago together, or like so did you start comedy in Chicago, or did you start in Chicago and then you came to Nashville? Is that what got you started?
I mean, in comedy?
Yeah.
I've always, like, I used to put on shows for my mom in the living room.
Yeah.
And, like, charge her to go to them.
How much?
Just $0.25.
Okay.
But I didn't pay rent, you know? She's like, okay. I saw this same show last week, but I'll pay. So I've always just loved making people laugh. And I knew I wanted to go to Chicago since I was a kid. I'd never been, but I was like, that's the place. Did improv, did Second City up there. which was cool, but it just wasn't it.
Yeah.
And my mom has been telling me my whole life, like, you got to do stand up. And
I'm sorry. And where'd you grow up?
like outside Nashville.
Outside, and then you went to sure. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And after improv was over, I was like in the subway and this guy's playing this guitar so well. And I'm like, oh, dude, you're so good at that. And we got to talking. And I was like, oh, I really want to try stand up. He's like, well, I have an open mic. Like, you should come. And Alex, we were doing long distance. He flew in that night or that day for an interview. So he was there the first time I did stand up. And you know how it is. The first time you do it, you know whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And it just, I was like, this is fucking it.
Right.
And then just went with that.
And you've been doing it for, I'm guessing, like maybe like 10 years, roughly speaking?
2. No, I'm just kidding.
Holy shit. I was like, what the fuck? That was crazy. All right, cool.
6 months. No, 7.
7.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm curious. So, because you wanted to quit, but I guess I'm just kind of curious about like the first time to now, like you're very, you come on stage a lot, dancing and stuff, and I'm kind of curious. And you're very conversational. You do like crowd work, and then you kind of get into your act and stuff. Has it always been that way, or was there ever a shift in your style?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was a theater major, so I think that helped me not being afraid of the stage. I don't know how I love to dance. Like off stage, I just like, that's my other passion. If I wasn't a comedian, I'd be a choreographer. I just love it. So I don't know when I started doing that, but I actually was so freaking scared of crowd work, like terrified. And there was this guy in Chicago, Eric Emerson, who was so good at it. Like,
Yeah.
I loved watching him. Like, I got excited when he got on stage because I was like, what's going to happen? And then finally I asked him, like, how did you get so good? And he was like, I was bad at it for a really long time. And so I was like, okay, fuck it. Let's go. And so at the beginning, it would be like, what do you do? I'm a nurse. Cool. So anyway, where
Yeah,
you're just like, But then I heard some advice from I can't remember who it was, but he was like, when you ask somebody something in the crowd, really listen to their answer. Like, don't just try to be funny. Like, talk to them, hear what they're saying. And that helped. And I just like, I love it so much. Now I'll be telling my jokes and I just get distracted. Like, I'll see somebody and I'll be like, I'm sorry, I have to talk to you. It's just like,
Right.
like a pool. Like, I'm in the joke and I'm like, okay, what? It's really fun.
I think it's really engaging. Obviously, like, you're very interested in what they're saying, so everyone's just like, and you're also very expressive, right? So everyone's like, what, where? I think it's like, I was talking to Tim about it, but just sort of like the idea of like, there's some comics that are like, they're in their act and it's great. You're like, but it's something especially interesting and maybe especially it works for like don't tells, but like you're in the room, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone can feel that you're in the room, and it's usually a weird room, right? So
Right.
it just kind of that's what I like. That's what I like to watch too. So it's like I can just watching somebody just be present. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
That is, that's a big thing. And it makes me think, my friend is a director in theater, and that's like what she loves about, just as a theater background. She's like, it's right there.
Right.
And she doesn't like, you can't film it.
Yeah.
It's right there in the moment.
Right.
And I think maybe that's part of why I love that so much, coming from a theater background. I'm like,
Right.
oh, this feels in the moment.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fun though. I love it.
Yeah.
And I like, even if there's no music, I'm going to dance.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize it because you came on to the dance. We did this show in Cleveland, and they actually had a guitar. It was the Secret Society show. So they had a guitar. I'm like, okay, this makes sense that you're dancing, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
And then I saw you last night, and you just came on dancing as well. I'm like, oh, I guess maybe this is just Amber just comes up dancing.
She just does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I like to tell hosts too, if they don't know me, I'll be like, listen, I'm going to dance, so don't. Because there's been moments where, like, I like to just high five and then get into it.
Sure.
But hosts will like shake, and then I'll start dancing, and then they're like, I'm like, no, you can go. Like,
Yeah.
we're separated now, because they are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I love it. I don't know. It just gets me into like I said, it's my other love, so I just get into my space.
How long have you opened with What's Up Christians?
Oh man. Probably like 7-8 months now.
Okay.
And it's so... Somebody has asked me before, they're like, do you just do that like in the South? And I'm like, no, it works everywhere.
Yeah.
Because people just don't expect it.
Totally, yeah.
You know, they're like, what?
Uh-huh.
It's, yeah. I don't know what brought that about. Sometimes my brain says crazy shit and I just let it ride.
I did a show, man. I just did that show for my hometown, and I don't know why I said this, but I was like, "What's up, my aunt's hot friends?" And and it was very awkward afterwards. I was just like, why did I would never have said that otherwise. And now my aunt knows I think all of her friends are hot, but
Are they?
yeah.
See?
I mean, they're attractive women.
All right, don't backpedal, bro. Like,
All right, you're right. You're right. I have trouble with compliments, I guess. So they're really hot. Aunt Donna, hook me up with your friend, please. Just kidding.
wow, you're taking it from like there's no in between.
There's no in between.
You're like, they're okay. I love them.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I think sometimes that's like the comedy gods. You know what I'm saying? I think they're a little goofy where they're like, say this. And you're like, okay.
Totally.
If you insist.
We're working with like different kinds of segments, different kinds of things for this podcast. This podcast is growing much like my hair. You understand? So I'm curious. So like, like I said, the skull. I get weird into broadcast mode. When I get into broadcast mode, I'm just like, it comes across very strange. But so do you have a version of a skull? It's something you've done that maybe is like an unpopular idea that you have, but you're like, I gotta do this thing.
Ooh.
Personally or comedically?
Being happy and loving myself.
Really?
I mean, I hate to like just keep saying that, but it is weird to people, when they either say something degrading about me or themselves, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
And they're like,
right.
well, I was just kidding. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah, it's nice.
And they're like, that's weird.
Yeah.
So I think that, I'm trying to think of something. I mean, I got...
Here we go.
I'm just thinking of like being bullied. I got bullied a lot in school for wearing cool clothes.
Really?
Not wearing Aeropostales, so I guess that was different.
You do have your own style. You have your own, like, I think like you do have your own style. Like last time I think you had this green, I just remember you're a very green,
Yes.
matchy outfit. It was at the, it was on St. Patrick's Day too.
Oh shit, the
Very flowy kind of.
Yeah.
You did great at that show, by the way. Thank you for doing it. You're welcome back anytime. It was a Don't Tell at the Rock Climb. You probably don't recognize me because I wasn't growing a skeleton.
Yeah, that's right. That was you. Yes, I remember now. Yeah. Thanks for saying I have my own style.
You do have your own style. You don't think you do? I feel like you do. Like it's kind of like a jumpsuit sometimes.
Yeah.
Or like like a tie dye.
Yeah.
And not just because you're wearing tie dye, but I think if you tie dye.
Thank you, dude. No, I mean.
I'm saving myself for my aunt's friends. So okay.
That means so much to me because, like, me and my mom, that used to be our thing of like going out. Like growing up, I'd like make it a point to be fashionable. Like that was our thing. And sometimes I feel like I've gotten away from that because I'm just like on the go so much. So that's nice. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do think it's, but yeah, no, the choice to love yourself is probably, that's got to be, yeah, it's kind of like radical, it's kind of radical, which sounds weird.
It is. And people, I mean, you just don't, people just don't realize it, especially in our community. We're good at making jokes at our expense. We'll take that to the stage and like, so that seeps into our life and you just don't hear it.
Right.
Like, and I'm learning this. Like recently I'm learning to react the way I want. Like somebody said something about my looks and I was like, oh, nah. And he was like, oh, I didn't mean it in a bad way. And I'm like, no, I didn't like it. And then we just sat there in silence. Like no one picked up their phone. No one walked away. We were just like, like in this super uncomfortable moment. And then he started a conversation with me again. And I was like, hey, about that comment.
Right.
And we like were able to get back into a conversation, but it felt so good to like respond how I wanted to and not just laugh and be like, yeah, like,
right.
I'm dumb, you know? Because I would leave and be like, I kind of hurt. And then I'd have to just sit with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been nice. It's like,
it feels like very adult, actually. It feels like a thing like in a, like, I don't know. I just, for some reason, just imagine like, this is the way you deal with conflict and you show children it. Because the thing is, it's like that awkward moment is like super necessary, right? So.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. And Brene Brown, you know, yeah, she's like, vulnerability is the most powerful thing. And she's so right. Like, even in my relationship with Alex, there's been times where I'm like, I'm just going to be silent and mad. And then I'm like, okay, I can do this and neither one of us gets what we want. Mm-hmm. Or I can be vulnerable and be like, hey, I'm really like upset that this happened. Like, there's no power in just being like, I'm going to be pissed and ignore you.
Right.
Like, be vulnerable and be like, I have feelings right now.
Yeah.
And it always is the better option.
It's always way better. Yeah. It's scary though.
It's so scary.
Man, they might run away.
Now I'm weak.
I know I'm needy and weak, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And you know that I care about you to the point where I want to like open up.
Uh-huh.
But then the relationship gets that much better.
Totally. Yeah.
You know?
That's nice.
Yeah. It really is.
Let's see. I'm going to look at my notes for a second. Is the
yeah. You're like,
this is my version of looking at my phone, okay? I was like, okay, we can make it. Here we go.
Which I don't think matters.
What's that?
Looking at your phone, looking at your notes.
No?
No, I think comics worry about it, but I don't think the audience gives a shit.
If what? If you look at your notes while you're on stage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even as a comic, if someone's like, as long as they're like, as long as they're not like
doing line by line, yeah.
But I'm never like, oh my god,
right?
What an idiot,
unprofessional.
Yeah. Anyway,
have you read or watched or listened to anything recently? This is the Media Minute. I've been doing this thing. I've been reading 20 pages a day lately. So these are the books right behind you that I've been reading. I've read this year. Up.
Oh, yeah, I was like, there's no books
down there.
There's a lobster.
There's a lobster. We had this thing earlier where I tried to convince Amber that there is a dog here, and there's no dog, just signs of dogs everywhere.
It was funny because you were before you opened the door, you're like, you okay with dogs? And I was like, yeah. And you opened the door, no dog. And you were like, here's this urn. Yeah.
Sorry, he's hungry. He only knows one trick now.
Like, pet him, he won't bite. I'm like, okay.
He's growing a skeleton too.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Oh. These are the ones you've been reading.
I've been reading. The one at the bottom is my friend's book, and I read that begrudgingly, and then I actually really liked it a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just like, God damn it, I gotta read the book, and I'm like, I like this. I'm reading this book, and then it was a nice way, because actually speaking of texts and stuff, we used to do AIM Instant Messenger all the time, like growing up.
Yeah.
You know? I'm very old. And then, but then it was like reading AIM Instant Messages.
This book?
No, it wasn't, but it was just sort of like, it was his, like, I was communicating with it. It was like my high school friend, so I was like, it was actually really nice to be like, into his brain again, you know? And I'm like, I actually liked the way I was reading, or I was talking afterwards, because like the language centers in my brain were working and firing off. So I was like, I'm going to read 20 pages a day. So I've been reading that. So
I love that.
Yeah.
What other, okay, 2 questions. One, do you prefer fiction or nonfiction?
Okay, fiction.
Really?
I used to only read nonfiction. I just finished Friday Night Lights, which is nonfiction. But something about fiction is, I think it makes me think creatively and stuff. And it's, and actually, I think it actually does help I'm always very concerned with how I'm speaking. So I think fiction actually is helping for some reason.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And the second question was like, what other benefits have you seen from reading 20 pages a day?
I seem interesting to people, you know. I feel like I'm, you know, everyone thinks I'm better than they are. I don't know. Like I like meditation a little bit, but I feel like it's I feel like I'm getting a lot of the benefits of meditation just by sitting there
it.
every day by doing it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So it's
totally.
like, this is my ritual, 20 pages a day or like that. And I'm sitting there. My phone is like upstairs and I'm just sort of like in this thing. It's like very pleasurable, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's definitely meditation.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Are you counting? Are you like 1, 2?
I have like an idea of like where I have to get to, you know?
Oh, okay.
But there is a certain compulsion, I guess,
Yes.
of that. Be like, how many pages more do I have to get to? And
I have OCD, so I would definitely be like,
totally, yeah.
get it on the.
Plus, I have this competition with my friends. They're all reading books at the same time. So it's like, how many books can we read a year?
Oh.
And so part of me is like, I want to beat Enrique.
You're all reading the same book?
Different books.
Oh.
We have a point system. And but yeah, they read a lot more than I do. So
When you were growing up, so I love to read.
yeah.
I love it. And when we were growing up, we had cards that you could get free personal pans from Pizza Hut.
Was it Caldecott? Was it Caldecott Kid thing? Or
That
is
sounds so familiar. That
Okay.
might have been it.
yeah.
But you would like fill the pie and then go get a personal pan.
That's cool.
Bitch, I had like stacks on
Yeah.
stacks. I'd be like,
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
meet me over here. Everybody, personal pans on me, bro.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I love to read.
Yeah.
You were asking me.
So just like anything recently, like a movie you really liked, not even really liked, maybe that stuck out to you, good or bad, book, movie, TV, anything you've been kind of consuming recently?
Yeah. So, 2, the movie Inside Out 2 hits so fucking hard.
I literally wrote this down.
It hits
I was
so
like,
hard.
about your podcast, I was like, have you seen Inside Out 2?
It hits so hard.
Yeah, tell me about it. What'd you like about it?
Oh.
Tell me all about it, please.
Have you seen Inside Out?
I have.
Okay. Have you seen 2?
I have. Yeah.
You like it?
I loved it.
Oh, so good. It's so good. They did their research. Like, the way they handle anxiety, that it's not, in therapy, I have anxiety, I have OCD, and my therapist is always like, you're never going to get rid of it. This is not to get rid of it. It's to manage it and to live with it. So to see what that looks like up on the screen, it just hit on another level where I'm like, oh, like my anxiety is trying to protect me.
Right.
Where she was like, no, if we got da. And then to see Joy just like not treat anxiety as a villain. It's like, no, babe, like we can all work together. And anxiety at the end would just like pop in with like, I feel like we should do this. And they're like, good idea. But not letting her take control.
Right.
It was just like so well researched. They spent their time on that. And I'm like writing a pilot right now about feelings, and it was just really cool to like, when you see something that you're trying to do and you're just like, oh, there's these 2 feelings of like, oh dang, they did it already. And then the other thing of like, well, everybody's doing everything already. So
Right.
let this inspire you to keep going. So it was a really great experience.
Plus, there's like a market for it.
Yes.
I loved it too. I thought you're right, because it was like the anxiety also was helpful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's actually working. And then it becomes a huge. There's that moment where she's so frantic, and
Yes.
then the person's like immobilized by it.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, it sees. I felt seen in a way,
Do you have anxiety?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then also there's the depression character
Yes.
who looks exactly like my friend Daniel Crow, who's been a guest on this podcast.
Oh.
It's like, it's incredible. I mean, it was just even down to the hoodie, and then oh my god, I was like, this is hilarious. The first movie, which I liked about the first movie, was because it was all about sadness, and she's like suppressing her sadness or whatever. That was never my problem. Was suppressing anger, right?
Oh,
So I was like,
wow.
but the anger is a part of it, right? But I would just like, I never really let it out, Like I was
Yeah.
angry last week. Weird interaction I had, and actually I didn't get angry until like 5 or 6 hours later. I was like, I could have used this earlier. You know what I mean?
Wow. That, like, what happened? Can you say more?
It was just a weird. Yeah, I guess so. It was just like, it was actually a guest on the podcast,
Okay.
and I think like we had just had a weird energy,
Oh.
and I think that he thought it was like very fun because it's like basically he thought that he has this relationship with Tim where it's like it's very fun, but like I'm a different guy than Tim.
Right.
So it's just like I don't really feel like getting roasted for like, you know, an entire hour, you know?
Yeah.
And then afterwards I was like I don't know, I got a little angry, you know, but I was
Yeah.
like I should have been angry then. It would have been more appropriate actually.
That's really interesting because my family has anger issues.
Yeah.
And so I've always considered it a bad emotion.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where I'm like,
totally.
I don't want to be angry. Like,
Yeah.
I'm chill.
Yeah.
And I've definitely gotten better with it, but like I relate to that for sure.
Right.
Where I'm trying to avoid anger.
Yeah.
Because it just, I don't know about you, but it'll like consume me
Totally, yeah.
to where I'm like not myself. And it's really hard to talk myself down from anger. You know, I like my other parts have to really come in and be like, "Hey," like really loud.
How long does it last? Also, just broadcasting note, I don't think he meant anything by it. You know, I took it in a weird way or whatever. But you know,
Yeah.
he's a fine person. Yeah,
Well, fine.
he's fucking dead to me. All right. Yeah.
No, maybe that would inspire him to come back and you'll have a different
I
conversation.
think that's what
that'd
we'll
be cool
do for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Vulnerability, baby.
Fair. Yeah, that's good.
How long does it last? It depends on the situation, but it's sneak attacks, bro. Like, I'll have road rage, and I'm just it's weird. I don't want to say it's not myself because obviously I am me. But I'll just instantly switch and then be mad at everyone. And it may be like, recently I can get it down. I'll be angry for maybe like 5 minutes, you know, which is a long time. And it's not fun to be angry like that, you know? So I have to balance it of like, okay, it was annoying that person cut you off, but like just showing love for someone is like in that instance is work. And it surprises me how angry I get because I'm pretty like chill and nice.
Right.
So when something happens where I'm just like, fuck, you know, I'm like, what is that?
I also find it's very it's exhausting. After I get angry, I'm just like I want to nap now. Right? I'm just like this is like I guess it's sometimes I just don't want it. I just don't want to have it. You're
So
saying the
true.
same way. You're just like I wish I wasn't feeling this way.
So true.
But
There's a lot of shame in it too for me.
Yeah, okay.
Lot
Talk
of
about
shame.
that.
Like, I get angry. I get like, I'll be like, like so pissed. And then I'm like, that was embarrassing. That emotion was like embarrassing.
Right.
And I think there's some room. I'm just now thinking about this in the moment, but like, there's room in there for me to grow and like accept that side of me. Cause just right now, like in my body, I'm like, there's shame in there.
I watched a video, and I think it's also like very public. Someone loses their cool in public. I was watching this video. I'm like, wow, look at this guy. He's so angry right now. And then it's like, and then I'm like, well, I didn't really have any compassion for him. And then I thought about it. I was like, dude, he's actually like, obviously it sucks, but I mean, it's superhuman too to be like that, you know, to be angry.
Isn't that weird? Like, even if somebody is a victim in a situation,
Right.
if they lose their cool, you're not on their side.
Totally, yeah.
No matter what the situation, you're like, all right, you're being weird. Like, we don't let people explode. And here's what's interesting too. Like, we give that compassion to kids more. Not a lot. Like, sometimes we're like, all right, that kid needs to be like smashed out, you know? But we give so much more compassion to kids when it comes to all emotions. And then at some point we're like, grow up.
Right.
Stop feeling. Compress it. It's so weird.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where some shame comes in of where it's like, I'm supposed to be not like this, you know?
One more thing about Inside Out 2. The one part that struck me, and this is actually kind of sad, but she's like, I don't know, maybe when you get older, you don't feel the joy in it. You know?
Fuck.
I was like, oh no.
Well, you feel joy.
Oh yeah, I feel plenty of joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what did that bring up?
Oh, it just felt like, oh no, like this is what it just was like. It felt like a truth that they were saying in the middle of the movie. And I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I But I think it's kind of you gotta have all these other things. You got other things you gotta think about, like can you get on that hockey team or not?
Right.
Spoilers.
I haven't seen it, so that confused me.
It's for the people that are watching that have seen this movie. Yeah.
That confused me. He's like, not a spoiler, just confusing.
How do you like comedy in Nashville?
I love it.
Yeah.
I do. When I moved to Nashville, it really popped my career off. I think they value me. I value them. I love Zanies, like Lucy at Zanies. That's why I moved to Nashville majorly, like from Chicago. So I performed there, and she was like, "If you move here, I'll work you." And I was like,
Great.
"Well, shit, yeah. My family's here, whatever." I've met cool people. It's just been awesome, and I love Nashville. It's like a small big city, and I think for me in my life right now, that's perfect.
It's a great city. I think also it's nice now that you don't need to necessarily be in the hubs. You said it helped you out a lot to go to like your home base being Nashville.
Yes, dude. I mean, there's so many states that you can get to within a 4 or 5 hour drive,
Right.
and which is just awesome. Like, I'm not gonna list states right now. I went to public school, but like like around Tennessee,
Right.
And it's cheap to get out of there. And Zanies is lit, bro. So many people come through there, like big names that have like now I've built a relationship with.
Who's someone you worked with recently? that you liked?
Recently I've been on tour with Danae Hayes. She
Okay.
is she got famous on TikTok, and this is her first time doing stand up, but she is so good.
Mm-hmm.
So proud of her. And she's been taking me on the road since she started, so that's been really nice. Like we're going on tour from September to December every weekend.
Wow.
Yes, which is just so cool.
You going to drive and come back, or is that wait?
We're gonna fly
Okay.
and then come back. So like we'll be there for the week, but gone. Yeah.
Cool.
But I mean, people I've met in Nashville that I've worked with: Fortune Feimster, Whitney Cummings, J.R. de Guzman, Dave Attell. Like, just it's been the shit for me. Like, yeah, it's just been good to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've been. And when did Dry Bar was? You did Dry Bar, right?
Yeah, but that was like 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for the experience.
Right.
Obviously, awesome, but it's not. Looking back, and I think you can say this as an artist for everything. I'm like, it's not my favorite because I was a young comic. You have to be squeaky clean. Like, they send you a video before where they're like, there's clean and then there's Dry Bar clean. Like,
Oh wow.
don't talk about divorce. Don't
Yeah, sure.
So I didn't feel any freedom where I could riff. I had to change my jokes, the punchlines where like, I watch it now and I'm like, that's not what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of myself. I think it's good, but
Just feels like
It's
it's a
not my
watered down version of
Yes.
what you do.
exactly.
Do you feel like the Don't Tell set helped?
Yes,
Yeah.
dude. So much.
Uh-huh.
That was my first time filming something where I felt free.
That's incredible. Was that in
Yeah.
LA or?
It was in LA.
Yeah.
I would love to film. I would have loved to film it in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Because the LA crowd was great. Like I love my Don't Tell, and it's been great for me. But it's weird. A lot of liberals are becoming so liberal they're conservative, to the point where they're like, can't say that.
Right.
It's like, no, that's my experience. Like, I can say that I lived it. Like now I'll go to Chicago, where I started, and I like had a black guy on my show, and he was talking about being black, and they were like, oof. And he's like, no, I'm black.
Wow. Huh.
Like, and I'll talk about living in a trailer, and they're like, I don't know about that. I'm like, no,
Interesting.
I do.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's okay. You're not going to get canceled if you laugh.
Right.
It's okay. Yeah.
Do you think that they've changed or you've changed? Because you were in Chicago. I'm just saying, from my experience, I was in Brooklyn for like over 10 years, and then I came to Pittsburgh, and it's a little bit different, right? So I'm just curious if because I've gone back and I'm like, what is going on? Like I can't communicate, and then I'm just sort of like,
Interesting.
I feel like I've stepped on a few landmines, and I had no idea that I was doing that.
That's a good point. I mean, I'm sure I've changed.
Sure.
There's no way that everybody changes.
Right.
Especially if you're in a different environment. But I'm not edgy.
Right.
Like I'm not ever trying to like say something crazy. It's all about my experience, And I just don't remember coming up in Chicago it being a thing to where people were like, oof,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe a little of both. But someone asked me when I was moving to Nashville, they're like, are you gonna like, you're a woman who like talks about her body and sex and blah, blah, blah. Like, are they gonna accept that? Not like the South is so, I love performing everywhere, but Midwest or like the South is a bunch of people that hang around the back of a pickup truck, like shooting the shit.
Right.
I feel like they're more accepting of whatever you're going to say more so than like a big city sometimes. Mm-hmm. Cause they say worse shit.
Totally.
Yeah. They're like, hell yeah. That girl just said yeast infection. That's fucking crazy. And in Chicago, they know what that is,
You have a scientific term for it and stuff.
So I have a blast in the South. I really do.
Are you mostly performing at Zanies, or like what are the shows like? What are different kinds of shows in Nashville?
Yeah, Zanies is the club. Like there's an improv club that does some stand up, but Zanies is the club, and we have Don't Tell. We have some local shows, but really Don't Tell is our local. Mm-hmm. And honestly, when I'm in Nashville, I'm at Zanies.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. I'm not in Nashville a lot. Recently, I've just been on the road a lot, but it's usually Zanies, and they're a very like purple crowd,
like Pittsburgh.
Is that?
I think.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Yeah, I've done suburb shows a lot here, and they are conservative. Mm-hmm. But cool. They'll come up after and be like, "Oh my god, that was so fun." But it's interesting in Pittsburgh because the 2 times that I've come, I've done local shows, but the local shows they'll be like, yeah, it's 50 minutes north.
Oh,
I'm like, that's not local. That's not. No, they have different cops, dude. Right. Like that's. But I love it. I love performing in front of different audiences.
Right.
I mean, that's important.
Yeah.
That's what Bill Burr was talking about. He's like, do it all. Do nursing homes, do cafeterias, do colleges. That's how you get good.
Have you done a good amount of colleges?
Yeah, I have. They've been cool. They pay well, so it's really hard to be like, I don't like it. They say clean, but once you get in there,
it's whatever flies.
They
right?
don't want to hear you be like,
know.
But they also are weird about sex, and I didn't think about this. But they're like just emerging out of their parents' house. So to have someone up there being like, for sex, they're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, you're so free with that.
Right.
So it's interesting to watch. It's a different crowd.
Yeah. Also, especially now, or I think the last college I did, it was like pretty much they just left their parents' house, but also they just left like Zoom school.
Oh shit!
So it was a very weird experience of like, I mean, what is your life experience, right? Or what do you think the world is? And
I keep forgetting that.
Yeah,
they didn't do school like we did.
Right. So I don't even know what would work. I'm just like, I just don't know.
You just come with a computer screen taped to you. Yo, that would be cool if you could Zoom colleges, because that's what they're used to. If you could just Zoom in and then make $2,000.
Or just have a screen down and then just like one of those weird TikTok videos of like some scroll happening while it's jokes.
Wait, you're doing your jokes and scrolling's happening behind you?
Yeah, just like some weird game of Roblox or something, Roblox.
Or you put your jokes in a scrolling form.
Oh, that's fun.
Where it's like one joke and then they scroll and you just send that video to them and they play it on the screen.
Oh, that's really, yeah, for sure.
Me and you were both like,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Was that your idea or my idea?
Isn't that hard? The other night I said a joke or like a thought in a car with a comedian, and he did a tag that was good, and so we're riffing, we're having fun, but I take out my phone like casually to be like, I'm writing that down. But now I'm thinking about him. I'm like, I hope he doesn't say that joke. That was my joke.
Right. It was your joke. Are you
But he added a
going
little.
to use his tag?
Okay, two things. One, it's a political thing, which isn't really my thing. Like these past 2 days, I'm like, do I want to say it? But it's hard for me to be like, I grew up in a trailer, and then so Trump. It's just not my vibe. So I don't know if I'll ever say it. And two, I've thought about texting him and being like, hey man, that thing that I said, I was thinking about saying it on stage. Do you mind if I use your tag?
Right.
And just, seeing that, or just fuck it and battle it out. Yeah.
See, my thing is I would ask somebody, do you think I could do that? And then I would do it and it would not work. And like, now I'm doubly embarrassed. Now, I kind of want to like test it out first and then be like, then I would ask him, hey, is it cool? But then it leaves the heartbreak if he says no, because then I'm just like, it works.
I'm not asking for your permission.
Exactly.
I'm kind of just well, no, if he said no, I would change it. I wouldn't use it. Yeah, because it's, I could think of something else, But yeah, it is a weird thing. I've had a joke where a comic came to me and he's like, and we were friends, and he was like, hey, this joke you're telling, I tell the exact same joke. I've been telling it since X. And I'm like, well, I also have been. I have video. And we just came to the agreement of like, if we're on a show, we'll talk, and one of us is going to do the joke, the other one won't. And that was such a good interaction where we were just like, okay, cool. Like, we'll talk beforehand.
Yeah.
And now it's been so long, neither one of us tell that joke anymore.
Right.
But it was a cool way to handle it instead of like, you stole my joke.
Right. That's
Fuck
good.
you.
Yeah, it could go way worse, right? I guess it's just like, I just remember like the Carlos Mencia stuff and it's like getting buried by Joe Rogan and that whole thing. Like, oh no, if you steal a joke, then what happens? I had this thing, I had a friend, I think there was a brief moment where I'm like, I'm done comedy. I was like, I'm going to quit, right? And then my friend's like, can I have your joke? And I was just like, sure, go for it.
Oh, really?
And then now I'm doing it again. I haven't really checked with him if he's doing it or not.
That's like his closer.
Dude, actually, I was like, you never paid me for it. He said, I'll give you $1. I think actually, maybe he gave me $1 for it. I should check with him.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like your quarter thing, It's like I was actually living in his house for free, so.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Does he still live here?
He lives in LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
You started in New York?
I started in New York. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I moved there from Maryland. I got into went to film school, and then I got into improv. I was doing it at UCB.
Oh,
and
amazing.
then I was just like I could do. UCB was very expensive.
Uh,
So stand-up was like mostly free open mics, or some of them would like pay $5 to do the
Right.
open mic, right? And then I was just like, well, this is just like the finances make more sense. And I remember one day it was like there was like an improv and stand-up show, right? And I was on an improv team. The show got canceled because nobody showed up, and they were all kind of depressed. But I was like, there's the improv groups was on one side, and the stand-ups were on the other group. And I kept going back and forth, and I was like, I kind of like these depressed weirdos a little bit better.
yeah, improv people are super happy.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of like, la, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
That's not rooted in reality.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's all they're just doing bits and bits and
Hanging out with improvisers, if you go into a room, it's like birds a little bit. They're all trying to be funny at once.
yeah.
It's just like, wah!
Right.
Woof. Yeah. I did musical improv, and I remember we had like not a great show, and I was like, whew, that was rough. And they all circled around me and was like, you are a queen. You are a star. Don't ever, la, la, la. And I was just like, it was a lot.
That is a lot.
But that was also in my era of beating the shit out of myself. So
do
maybe
you think now
like,
would you have liked it? Or do you think now... Or
I think
did it
I would have
still-
been more receptive.
Okay.
Now, yeah. Still probably would have had to walk out of the room. But I would have been like, yeah, I am a queen. And then been like, I'm going away. This queen is leaving the building.
I always feel like it was like the improv thing was like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to work on when I'm not doing it. I like So like I was like, I would just pretend like to pick up a cup like you're doing your space work or whatever, your object work.
Out
and
of
I'm
here.
like, is this? I'd rather be thinking about jokes or whatever.
That's funny. That's interesting. Yeah. That's a really interesting point. Yeah, I never thought about it like that. That you don't really practice outside.
I don't know. The improvisers were all like NYU students and stuff.
Okay.
And then I just also felt like they were reading a lot more. They were talking about Proust and stuff, and I'm just
In
like,
improv?
bro, it was crazy. I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not on the same level here.
That's
know?
double. That's a double no for me.
Yeah.
Like, calm down.
Uh-huh.
I support all comedy. If you're having fun and people are laughing, pop off. But something I've noticed about New York comics,
Oh.
they'll come to the South and they're very like, look how good I am at writing and thinking. And the crowd, it's boring. People are like, cool.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just very much like, wasn't that a good joke? Wasn't that a smart joke? And it was like, yeah, but it wasn't fun.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's interesting to watch.
Yeah. No, I think it's very, maybe it's even just very hard to get out of the city. So people
Yeah.
just stay in, because like the tolls are very expensive, or you just got to get a car or whatever and just sit on a
Yeah.
train. So it's just like it's its own ecosystem. But I don't know. I'm glad I left. But it is a thing too of like everyone kind of is it's almost like if you're not in New York, then it's like you don't even exist. Is what the feeling is. So it's
But
just
they've
like
created that because they can't leave. So they're like, let's just
it's a cult
make
in a way,
ourselves
yeah.
elite.
yeah.
You know? Well, that's true. New Yorkers will come and they'll be like, there's nothing like New York.
Right.
It's nothing like. And I'm like, I'm sure, but like, there is other things.
right.
There are other good comics. You know.
Well, I'm looking at one, a great comic here.
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
no, I appreciate you doing the show. If you guys don't know or don't follow Amber, what the fuck are you doing? She's so funny.
Yes, thank you.
You're a killer, and
Thank
I'm not gonna take away anything like I did in the beginning. I'm a huge fan, so I
Thank
do
you.
appreciate you doing the show. And,
This was not. You know what? This was a good podcast.
Oh, thanks.
I go on so many where I don't talk. Like I have to insert myself, and you're a great host.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this is very good, and I had a good time.
Hey, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you mind if I say my socials?
Please, yes.
Okay. Please follow me everywhere at Amber Autry Comedy. It's AMBERAUTRY Comedy. I'm on everything. TikTok, Instagram, Grubhub, literally everything. And then there's a link in my bio on all of those that links to a text list. That is the most important. That's how I sell my tickets. Like, please join it. I only text if I'm going to be in your city. No spam, just feet pics. Please join. And thank you so much.
Of course. Well, this has been Skullet. Remember, folks, not all growth is good, but keep it in the back of your head. Appreciate you, Amber. Thanks for coming to Pittsburgh.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.